Evening, everyone. I would like to call this council meeting of November 13th, 2023 to order. Please stand for the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Please be seated. I would like to begin this evening by reading a safety notice. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate council chambers to the nearest exit to my left through the chamber doors and obey all instructions given. And if assistance is required, please see the clerk who will be in that position. Once you've evacuated the building, please gather in the front parking lot outside of Town Hall. Also, please ensure that you place your cell phones on silent or turn them off. And lastly, the Town of Lincoln Council meetings are posted on our YouTube channel. Closed captioning is available on all our videos, selecting the closed caption button on the bottom right of the video. The Town of Lincoln, being part of Niagara Region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Attawandaronk, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality and the Town of Lincoln stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. In keeping with the tangible demonstrations of our commitment to our Indigenous community, I would like to advise that Councillor Timmers and Councillor Reimer and I attended on November the 8th the Valor and Victory ceremonies. My apologies. Councillor Rinjima and Councillor Reimer attended the Valor and Victory ceremony at Queenston Heights at a Remembrance Day service. And if you haven't been to that site, and you're not motivated possibly not motivated by the Truth and Reconciliation tenets, I would encourage you to go there as a historic site for the Battle of 1812. It is certainly a wonderful and very poignant reminder of the contribution that the Indigenous communities made to Canada, as well as many other activities that involved Indigenous people along that 56-kilometer waterfront on the Niagara River. All members of council are in attendance in person or remotely, with regrets from Councillor Murray. We also have staff attending both in person and remotely. Also in attendance this evening, we welcome Mackenzie Schultz and Tara Clayton on behalf of the Ontario Waterworks Association and Regional Councilor Foster. Do members have any amendments to the order of the agenda? There being none, are there any declarations of interest? There being none, do members have any announcements? Please remember you have a limit of 3 items. Councillor Timmers.
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton. I have a couple of announcements. This Thursday, I will be attending the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce 2023 Women in Business Awards. It's always a very exciting and well-attended event. I also want to remind people that this Friday night is the turkey raffle in Beamsville by the Lincoln Fire Rescue. And it's always, again, packed house, lots of fun, lots of turkeys, all kinds of things happening. And that is this Friday at 7:30 at the Lincoln Center on Central Avenue. And also this Friday night is the museum's Starlight Market, which it's unfortunate it's both nights because I would love to be at both, but that will be starting at 3 p.m. till 8 o'clock at the Museum and Cultural Center. Thank you very much.
I don't know why we would go. By the time you get there and Councillor Foster gets there, there aren't any more turkeys left anyway. However, thanks for the invite.
I didn't win one last year, but I think Councillor Foster had one.
Okay, all right. Councillor Brunet, you're next.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, just a couple of quick announcements. Last Tuesday, November the 7th, I participated in the TAPMO Executive Board meeting. Just a couple of highlights from that meeting. We had MPAC representatives putting on a presentation for the Executive Committee of TAPMO, where we heard further information with regards to the appeal process regarding the tax reassessment for pits and quarries across Ontario. So a few things, mostly all positive, continuing to come out of that appeal and that assessment that occurred last year that goes back to 2000, I believe, 17 or 18. So it's been a long process, but some good things continuing to happen. One of the things that we did talk about, Mayor Easton and Councillor Foster, as our regional councillor representatives on the upper tier, I found it very disconcerting that currently there are no regional municipalities paying dues at TAPMO. I look around the province and there's many quarries and pits in many municipalities where we have regional government. And the last time I looked, there are many of those trucks coming to and from the quarry that are traveling on regional roads. So I think we have a responsibility both at the lower tier and the upper tier. So one of the messages, Mayor Easton and Councillor Foster, is speak to your officials of the upper tier and get them to pay the membership dues and talk about that during the upcoming budget for 2024. Also, I wanted to make mention, similarly to, I'm sure what a lot of people are going to be discussing, our recent Remembrance Day ceremonies. I had the privilege to bring greetings from you, Mayor Easton, and all council last Wednesday, November the 8th, at the Jordan Cenotaph. And I was joined there by Councillor Mikulak, Murray, and Rinjama. I brought greetings, and the 3 councillors presented the wreath at the foot of the cenotaph on behalf of council. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brunet. And just as an update on the TAPMO memberships, there has been some considerable effort and communications through the executive over a number of years, and I'm not too sure what more we can do about that. There's a few memberships such as that we can't seem to make any headway on. But I thank you very much for mentioning it in the public portion of the meeting. Thank you. Next, I have Councillor Pachariva. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I attended on your behalf on Thursday, November 2nd, the ceremony for the Embers, the Sparks, and the Girl Guides at the Fleming Center, and read the land acknowledgement. On Thursday, I will be attending the Niagara Sport Tourism Summit with Minister, and I'm drawing a blank. I can see Minister Lumsden is going to be in attendance at the Niagara Power Station. And thirdly, I want to thank Terry Miller for a really moving Remembrance Day ceremony on Saturday at the Cenotaph in Beamsville. And it was quite poetic when the Lancaster flew over. And it was, you know what? It was more people than I've seen in a long time there, and it was really, really nice, because without the ultimate sacrifice that those men and women paid for us, we wouldn't be able to enjoy the freedoms that we do today. So thank you. Thank you to Terry and his team at Branch 612.
Thank you very much, Councillor Patry. I don't see anybody else on the list. Item number 8 is proclamations. We have no proclamations this evening. We do, however, have recognition and achievements. And this next item is recognizing that Lincoln is the recipient of the Water and Energy Efficiency Award, which is an annual award presented by the Ontario Waterworks Association's Water Efficiency Committee to highlight innovative and transferable projects or programs. Awarded projects show innovation, clearly defined goals and objectives, quantitative and qualitative savings for the municipality and the community they serve, as well as successful overall project or program delivery. The Town of Lincoln has combined monitoring of the distribution system using hydrants and advanced metering technology to successfully reduce overall water loss to just below 10%. The AMI meters have improved meter read accuracy, while the hydrants improved leak response times, system operations, and informs a proactive flushing and testing program. The town was also able to reduce the number of leak abatement requests from 45 to 15 in a single year. So, on a very practical perspective, I'm now sending a message through the ether here to Councillor Foster to translate that into the conversations that we've been having at the region, where the question is being asked, what are local area municipalities doing to keep the cost of water and wastewater down? So, we have the pleasure of this award this evening, and I want to welcome Mackenzie Schultz, the Supervisor of Water and Wastewater Technical Services from Oxford County, and Tara Clayton, Market Leader, Water from Ultig, and accepting the award will be our Associate Director of Public Works, Jillian Harris, who has, along with other members of the team, but all, having to be the person that's on the front lines, we have to make sure that the credit goes where it's due. So, Mackenzie and Tara, please go ahead, and then we're going to have a photo.
Thank you guys so much. So thank you guys so much for having us, and I just was going to take a quick second to really thank you guys for taking the time to put that application together. The amount of work that your team would have put into make those water loss metrics come true is truly exceptional. These awards are reviewed by our committee across all of Ontario. We had several applicants this year, so it's quite exceptional. The Town of Lincoln was able to be selected, and we're really pleased to give the award today. So thanks again.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Just thank you to the OWWA and the Water Efficiency Committee. I also want to acknowledge the teams that worked on these projects. So it was a true across-town projects that came into play. So from communications to IT to finance to Public Works to bylaw. It really involved all of these departments working together to make it successful. That was actually a common theme from all of our vendors that we were working with throughout as well. And of course, to get into all the homes across Lincoln, just thank you to the residents to cooperating. And of course, thank you to council, to you for supporting us in these projects and allowing Lincoln to be a leader in our industry. So thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you. Deputy Mayor, would you come with me and we'll do this quick photo, please?
Yes, usually that's the other side. So can we turn around, we're going to cross everyone's, their backs towards the legs. Congratulations. Are you taking the award, Mayor?
Yeah, Jillian.
There's Jillian taking the award. Okay. Yes,
Or do you want to take the
We'll stand on the edge.
Yeah, I'll be on the edge. Yeah.
Edge? Are you sure?
Oh, yes, you guys go in. Let Jillian hold her.
Where do you want me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Can we just all scooch over just a little bit? Steps over, so it's nice and center. Thank you. Thank you.
Safe journey back to Oxford. Thank you very much for coming. Item number 10 on the agenda is the Regional Councillor update. Councillor Foster, would you please come forward?
Oh, I don't have to press anything. Good.
Fully
Good evening.
automatic now.
Yeah. I wore a jacket this evening. Thank you, Councillor Pachariva, for reminding me I should wear a jacket. Going to start off right off the bat, the TAPMO item that Councillor Bernay brought up. Happy to sit down and talk with you, Councillor Bernay, about that. It isn't high on the list of things at Niagara Region, simply because it typically has been a lower tier municipality issue that's gone on with it. So anyway, more than happy to go and figure out if the region should be involved. So I'm going to talk about collective amnesia this evening. You guys are all saying, what the heck is he talking about? So we're going through budget at Niagara Region right now. And going through budget is not one of my more fun times. Although I will say I look back longingly at the town of Lincoln as we were going through budget processes and how that worked. And once we got away from the crazy green sheets, we certainly had and have a good process here at the town of Lincoln. But the reason I say collective amnesia is we're now going through a variety of differing departments and taking a look at things. There's some concern about the level of tax that is being expected coming in at the region. And well, there should be. The rate that has been looked at is quite significant, and there's a wide variety of factors that are coming into play as we're starting to go through this. But we've been going through and dealing with I would say, department by department, as we're looking at things. And so I'm going to start with the capital expenditures. We currently have approved 279 million, almost 280 million in capital expenditures for next year. That's approximately a 2.5% increase from the previous year. We don't have a good process in place, in my opinion, to increase the amount of capital spending that comes into play. I know here at the town of Lincoln, and in fact, it was a policy that was put in place a number of years ago where we looked at CPI and making sure that we were staying in front of the curve with that. And I admire very much the town of Lincoln having continued down the road with that and making sure that the capital expenditures and the capital is available to do what it is that you have to do. It's not so much at the region. The region tends to behave a little different with some of these things, and unfortunately, capital seems to be one of the areas that gets hammered as you start into the process. So we have a few councillors that are very much interested in going line by line with individual projects. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of that. I have trust in staff to come back with what it is that they need. It's our job to be going and saying, well, we don't want to spend that much, or we want to spend more as we're going on. So we're going to have some interesting times as that settles out over the next bit. Water and wastewater budget, that was deferred back, and in fact, Mary Stin and I have to deal with this upcoming Thursday as part of the series of meetings that are going on Thursday. There was a artificial number chosen by some members of council to reduce the overall to 6%. The problem is that, and I've just taken a look at the report that's come through to us. We got it, Mayor Easton, about 10 minutes ago from the clerk's office. But the problem is that some of the recommendations are not particularly good for lower tier municipalities. For instance, is it called CISO, I think it is, or the program for doing the intake that's going in, the combining of sewers and trying to figure out all those types of things. If we're going to meet this, we're going to have to cut that by almost half within it. That has a direct effect on you guys here at the town of Lincoln, if that does come into play, because you guys actually are very good at making use of those programs to go and do the good work that has to be done within the municipality. There's things like cutting the water festival, like a few things like that, where it's like, well, if it's going to happen, I mean, it's going to hurt. So, and there's just some things, in my opinion, that should be thought about twice before we go down the road with it. NRT budget, Councillor Patrieva and I were in a discussion about this afternoon. That got pushed back to the NRT, and again, with very little direction, it was basically sent back saying, we expect you to be raising fares and lowering service in and through the NRT system. Okay. I certainly am not a purveyor of that. I certainly do think that all of the departments have to look and mind the bottom line dollars, but one has to be very careful as one approaches that, and that's why we do have a commission in place to do that. So anyway, that's in progress as well. Waste management. Waste management came up. Councillor Mayor Easton and I were quite involved with a waste management policy and process that was put in place and was agreed upon at council to replenish the reserves in and around the waste management. Sometime in the future, we're going to have new landfill sites. Somewhere in the future, we're going to have a wide variety of things that are going to be, from a waste management point of view, big capital items that have to be put in place. However, in the wisdom of council, they voted to turn that down. They are not going to be replenishing the capital. So, one of two things have to happen at this point. Number one, we at the region have to speak about this and talk about what we really should be doing with it, because it's nonsensical having a process in place that we're trying to make use of without actually following it. I happen to know from discussions with staff that because of the change that they want to make, it's probably going to, if not double, triple what it is that's going to have to be put away next year. So, you know, it's the classic, cutting your nose off to spite your face. It's like, you know, there certainly are issues that are coming into play with this. So I did read some social media from some of the councillors saying what a great victory it was removing that, and I'm shaking my head saying, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We are not preparing ourselves for the future. So I have some very significant issues with that, as you can probably tell with what and how I'm saying this. Much to the surprise of Mayor Easton and I, the Vineland reconstruction has been pushed off another year. Okay, so that's one of the ones that came out under our unfunded listing. So, excuse me. So, I'm going to apologize that this isn't high on the list right at this particular moment. However, there's a number of things that have come into play, and there's a number of reasons why they have pushed that off. So, we are asking the questions and trying to make sure that we know and understand why these particular things are happening. So, anyway, budget season is not going to be fun. This is a tough year at Niagara Region. Huge expectations by you guys at the lower tiers to have something coming out of the region that makes sense, and you know, we're going to do our best to do it, but I can tell you as a councillor, I have absolutely no intention of cutting into services that we need within the community. So despite what some of the pressures are that are coming into play, and some of the panicking that may be going on with some of the councillors. So there's a motion coming forward Thursday night from Councillor Davies from Port Colborne. And he wants us to tell the province that they should be releasing the fine ceiling report that was done in 2019. I actually think that's a good idea. It would be kind of nice to know what those two gentlemen came through with. Excuse me. Both Mayor Easton and I have a lot of respect for both of those gentlemen. We've both talked to them on many occasions. Top-notch civil servants, top-notch people that have been involved with politics for a long time. So I think to help all of us as we're looking at some of these things, certainly having that report released wouldn't be a bad idea, but it kind of got buried about as quick as it got written at the provincial level. So it'll just be one of the commentary that's going back in and through. Lastly, I didn't put this on, but I've had discussions with a few of my fellow councillors. There were some really interesting articles that came out about the cameras that are going on into the school safety zones. There's been discussions in and around whether or not this is a massive money grab or is it actually going to work. Well, I know this council is 100% behind doing this and making sure that this goes into play, and I have been stating that at the region as well. I have absolutely no issue, actually, with someone coming in front of us explaining that they've got tickets speeding through school zones. I will let them go and plead their case in front of me and be more than happy to offer my opinion to them as well. So anyway, with that, I'm going to stop my rant.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor. And we do have questions, and we'll start with Councillor Mikulik. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you very much, Mary Easton, through you to Councillor Foster. Yeah, it looks like it was a tougher presentation for you today than typically, given the news that you're sharing with us.
No, this was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying budget at the region this year, so.
So, question I have, and, you know, today you mentioned capital budget coming in at 280 million, but it's just funny, like today, I believe it was today I received an email or something to the effect of a budget survey. I'm curious about the timing of a budget survey at this time when it appears like things are already sorting themselves out. And what would the budget survey serve at this point in terms of regional council's decisions or thought process with the results of that survey, given the timing of it?
Well, it depends what you're going after with that survey. I suppose you haven't taken it, so.
No, I'm not taking it.
So, you're not going to take it?
I
Okay,
may.
Sorry, I misheard you. Here's the thing with that, is that, you know, we have the big battles over the actual operations that comes up, and as all of you know, having been involved with this now for a while, the big issue that you have to hit as you're going into your budget deliberations is your operations budget. So you can cut if you want in capital, but that really has very little effect in and around your overall, what's happening within your municipality. So the timing is about right. We're not going to get to the operation side of things until probably mid-December, so.
Fair enough. Through you, Mayor, I have another question or two. With respect to Vineland, this is something, I'll be honest, I'm disappointed with this news. It's something that I've been hearing from Vineland residents since not this past campaign, but the campaign previous, where residents of Lincoln within Vineland are having issues that can only be solved through regional infrastructure to address issues that local Vineland residents are having with respect to drainage and water and that sort of thing. So you mentioned the scoring matrix, that it failed to meet or it was not high enough in terms of priority. Is there a possibility of myself or my fellow councillor Anna Murray to see what sorts of projects are on this scoring matrix that superseded the Vineland one? That I'm not sure what projects there all are all over the region that would be of more significance to this one.
Well, we certainly have a number of projects in and around the region. The reports are all available online in the Niagara Region website, so, you know, please go ahead and have a look if you want. What I'll say to you is that it came as a surprise to both Mayor Easton and I. In my discussions that have gone on in and around this particular project, this is a more complex project on what's going on in downtown Vineland than just going and redoing the road. And there's also a number of issues that are attempting to be resolved as this is going on. So the transportation group was the one as part of their budget that said, no, this isn't ready to go this year. So we've been asking the questions, but I can tell you there's an awful lot of other major projects within Niagara Region are going forward. So I want to make sure when we do downtown Vineland, we do it right. So that's also part of this as well.
And I'd just like to see it happen at this point. If it gets deferred to this year, last year, you know, who knows? Like it's just a project that seems to keep getting bumped, and I'd just like to see it happen at this point. And then, if I may, a third question.
Go ahead.
The Vision cameras. These are portable things that they're pretty. I'm in favor of, you know, the Vision Zero project. I'm in favor of keeping, you know, community zones safe and doing whatever we can to do that. Is this a surprise to regional staff or regional counselors that these cameras are getting vandalized? And will this have an effect on the funding of this endeavor with these cameras?
You're asking a lot of opinions on that from me, so it's quite interesting. There's one municipality in particular that seems to be where the vandalizing is going on, so I won't mention the name of them, but it isn't Lincoln. So there's some vandalizing that's been going on, and okay, so be it over there. There's some mitigation things that are being looked at to help resolve this as we move forward. And all the power to everybody as it's going on, but it's like, it's like anything else. Damaging property is not a good thing. So, sooner or later, people are going to get caught, and they'll have the full force that's going behind them. These materials are not cheap, or the machines are not cheap. So, but the rule that's in place is that the company that actually does this, like puts the stuff in place for us, are responsible to take care of the vandalism. So suffice it to say is that I'm not so sure that we're going to be seeing a lot more vandalism in the near future. So,
Okay, and I can understand residents being upset, not liking it. I don't condone it, but I can certainly understand, because typically when you receive a ticket and then you feel bad and you change your driving behavior. But from what I'm hearing, some people are receiving like 20 tickets within a month.
gosh, I feel sorry for them. So
I don't feel sorry for them on the first ticket, but on the other 18 or 19 of them, they hadn't had a chance to be, they hadn't been given a chance to change their ways. So they continue their ways until they get slapped. But this time, they're getting slapped 20 times, and that I think might be an issue for some people. Those are my thoughts. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Council, I would just like to add that when the report was issued regarding the deferred projects, I had not been advised in advance, nor had Councillor Foster, that this project was going to be deferred yet again. I wasn't able to attend the meeting last Thursday, but I don't think I've missed many budget meetings this year. They certainly are galvanizing. However, I did ask the question publicly, when were the staff advised, and what the method was of choosing which were going to stay on the list. Anyway, at the meeting, it was publicly noted by Commissioner Harrison that the staff of the town had been advised. I immediately addressed that with the CAO, and I think there may be a difference in the definition of how you advise someone. The staff were not fully advised of this.
I think if I can add to that, Mayor Easton, one of the things that I have really liked with the process here in the town is that we have a pretty good idea what's going to be done this year and next year and next year and the year after. It kind of lines itself up to go through with the capital process. So I've been hammering away at the region now for multiple years to go and do the exact same thing. They've been focused on the asset management program and making use of the software to go and come back and provide a list of things that are going on. I'm not satisfied with that. Like as a regional councillor, I come in front of Councillor Michalak, who is PO'd that downtown Vineland isn't being done. And I can't give him a solid answer saying, this is the date that this thing is going to be done. And that's not fair to the councillors by any stretch of the imagination. And, it doesn't give us a solid platform to go and say, this project is more important than Montrose Road in Niagara Falls, which, by the way, took us all out at the knees when it was decided that one was going to be done. Those types of things. So, bottom line is that, there are a few holes in the way that capital is handled at the region. And, we'll just keep hammering away and try and persuade them. Again, we're 2 voices out of 31 on a regional council, and we could get into the discussion about too many people, yada, yada, yada. But anyway.
So not surprised at disappointments, and not surprised if there's anger, but that is the continued story.
Yeah.
And this has been the same story as we've had now. This will be the 3rd year.
On the plus side, we have over $36 million worth of capital that's happening in the town of Lincoln this upcoming year, between Ontario Street, between the King Street, a couple of different portions that are going on with that. There's still work that's being done on the water system in and around some of the pumping stations, so it's not like the town of Lincoln is being underspent on, but it's the priority and those projects that we feel should be higher in the priority queue. We just keep hammering away, so.
Okay, questions from Councillor Timmers?
Thank you very much, Mayor Easton, through you to Regional Councillor Rob. Thanks for being here tonight. Yeah, the Victoria Avenue is extremely concerning. It's got to be at least a couple of decades that we've been needing improvements down in that area. I grew up on Victoria Avenue, and that intersection looks exactly like it did when I was a child. And that was a long time ago, so I'm going to age myself, so, and it looks the same. So, yes, disappointing, but my thoughts are, let's look at what can we do in the meantime. And at our Ward 4 meeting, there were a lot of comments about Victoria Avenue, crossing the streets unsafe, certain portions down in there for pedestrians. So I guess what I want to put out to you tonight is there something we can do in the meantime while we're waiting? I don't know if maybe you're not the right person, but you could push at the region for us. Some kind of improvements, and you were at the Ward 4 meeting, so I think you're aware, and they're not major expenditures, but just some simple things to make, trip hazards and, some of the sidewalks, maybe a little bit of a facelift on some of the trip areas. Anyway, I'm just putting that on the floor and to our public works as well. So those are my comments. I've heard a lot about Vineland and for a very long time, so let's hope we can get it in 2025.
If I can reply to you,
Sure.
Councillor Lynn. Remember sidewalks, if we're going to be going down that route, you need to be talking to Dave and getting those types of things in play. Proper markings on the road and stuff like that does come down to the region being involved with that. Both Mayor Easton and I have been pushing, although the red light cameras are coming into play. We're going to be having one here in Beamsville at the South Service Road and Ontario Street. And I've suggested strongly, actually, right from the start, that the red light cameras should be at King and Victoria. However, I'm relatively confident that'll be one of the secondary ones that comes into play. So they're starting with 4 of those. So yeah, there's things I believe that can be done. So
Okay. I just wanted to put that out just while we have your ear and you're here tonight, Councillor Rob. Mayor Easton, I have a couple more comments. So on Niagara Regional Transit, cut to services and increase in fees, that is very concerning to me as well, because I feel like our community has just really started to embrace NRT, and if we're looking at cutting or raising fees, I think that's the wrong approach. If we want people to really use this service, and they're just starting to really use the service, so that's concerning to me. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to give my comments on it. As far as the fin and ceiling report, so from what I don't know a lot about it, but from what I understand, they were commissioned or given the project to research many different municipalities, like over 80 municipalities, and the report was basically on ways to improve governance and service, providing services. I don't know if that included any kind of amalgamation piece. So do you, you said there's a motion coming forward to have that report released so that it would become something we could all
Okay, so
read?
it's like so many differing motions that sometimes come out of our council here, out of the region, et cetera. This is only a piece of advice going back to the provincial government saying, we really think you should release that report. It's up to them to decide if they're doing it. It's a confidential report that the province of Ontario has. So I happen to think it would be a good idea. As I say, I have a lot of respect for both of the gentlemen that did that. I also, I worked with, I was doing my master's degree at Western with one of the key writers of the report as well. And so a lot of really good people involved with it. So I don't know, wouldn't be a bad thing to have out there, but obviously that's a provincial decision, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it could be very useful.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Mary Stan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Timmers. And we go to Councillor Reimer.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. Through you to Councillor Foster. I'll go to the King Street, but first I'm going to give you a thank you. Butter you up a little bit. Thank you very much for the, and I spoke with Director Graham about this last week, the Ontario Street project. Thank you for working together with the municipality. That's not something that a lot of people look at with great admiration, but I happen to think that the price that we're paying for the work that's being done together with you is a big savings to the town. So thank you very much for that. And just heading over to King Street in Vineland, do we know, and I think this is more, I don't expect you to have the answer for this, Councillor, but and maybe to Director Graham too. I know there's been some work done on the design of King Street, and knowing that there could possibly be some development happen in Vineland, I would not want that to stop because we're not far enough on King Street. I believe we're far enough with some design and development, so it's not really a question, Councillor, but more of a, just a comment to you and maybe even Director Graham, just that I think we're that far, but it would be nice that when that time comes, hopefully comes soon, that the development would be able to proceed without that being done kind of thing. I think it can, but I hope we can have things, items in place so that development can continue, so.
So just to let you know, the Vineland reconstruction, the figure is $14.5 million that's going to be needed by the region to do the actual road work in and through it. That particular figure is, I believe, 2 years ago, the dollar figure. So of course it's going to be more than that when all the final pieces come into play. Engineering-wise, there's been a lot of work done as well. And my expectation from what I had heard back in and through is that there are monies already set aside to start doing some of the engineering work that needs to be done with it. So yes, everything is a bit delayed, but we'll keep pushing to get it done, so.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Thank you, Mayor Easton.
Thank you very much. I was just checking with the CAO whether development was holding it up. I can't see that would have been on a matrix, but doesn't seem to be the issue.
Not from the region side of things. Look, we were going through, and both Mayor Easton and I have gone through some of these projects, and the reality is that an awful lot of them are really required within Niagara region. I mean, part of the discussion in and around capital was, we have an infrastructure deficit of about $1.9 billion in Niagara region, and so this has required, some significant rethinking of how we're doing some of these things. It's meant that we need to be putting more money away to go and do some of these things. But as I say, some of my fellow councillors start panicking when they start seeing numbers. So, you know, it's my hope that, you know, we're going to actually move forward on a few of these items, so.
Deputy Mayor Pachariva.
Thanks, Your Worship. And Rob, thank you for coming this evening. And through you, Your Worship, you sent out an email last week about a crosswalk.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
a good
I
news
want to
one,
give
yeah.
you props for that. Would you like to touch on that? That's
Well,
a feather in your cap.
Well, I certainly would. And,
After
and-
much prodding and from Councillor Brunei and myself, you.
Yeah, well, I went to the region and had a long talk with our new transportation director, and so we were talking about the things that needed to be done here in town, and I know there's a wide variety of things that really should be done from a capital point of view. And again, I'm really looking forward to you know, what you guys line up to go along. But you know, after the school crossing guard was banged back a while ago, you know, to me it just made perfect sense for us to be going forward with this. And so they've done the work. What they're trying to decide now at this point is whether or not it's going to be the crosswalk with all the appropriate lighting and stuff on it, or whether they're going to do a half light at that intersection. So that information is going to be coming back to Mayor Easton and I in the very near future, and I'm hoping to see that this actually gets done next spring. So, yeah, thank you.
No, that's terrific, and thank you for your due diligence on that. And we did have a conversation this afternoon about NRT, because I saw it in your notes, and you know, I wrote some context for the mayor on this that I'd share with you, that, you know, it was, the numbers that were uploaded were based on 2019, and that was when COVID was on, so the numbers weren't true. There's been some misrepresentation and underfunding and the like, and would share that with everyone from council, as well as our general manager was on CKTB the other day, and there's an audio clip saying, you know, all of the pressures that we're coming under. There was, you know, 4 FTEs that weren't accounted for when things were uploaded. 83% of the snow removal budget was taken on by the big 3 that now the NRT has. Diesel cost increases. And Councillor Foster, I mean, this, if he said it once, you know what, he probably said it to me half a dozen times. Beware of things not done, capital things not done. And he was bang on, is that there was things that should have been undertaken that weren't, because, you know, oh, this is going to get uploaded to a regional transit service. There's a $400,000 door in one yard. There was a route that was being funded by gas tax. So now that we're 10 months in to the budget, things are being right-sized. One of the positives, and I always like to find a positive, is that the ridership is already 83% year-to-date. So we're going to hit those targets, and we're going to get there, and I think it was Councillor Timmer said, it's prudent to push on. Is this something that we've all strived for, to get to a regional transit system? And I think after, you know, the numbers all come in and everything is balanced and right-sized, you'll see a reduction. I know that phrase, misery loves company. Other transit commissions around the province are looking at a 14 to 16% increase. So we would be way under those numbers had those nefarious items not been there. But I thank you, Councillor Foster. I'll share that with you as well.
Yeah, and I can say, as we were going through this discussion, General Manager Carla Stout did a terrific job outlining all of this for Regional Council when she was going through and talking about it. And she didn't hold any punches either as it was going through. So I'm not speaking out of turn, nor are you. You know, the general manager has basically said, look, we got a bit of a mess here that we have to clean up, okay? So I think she's actually laid out a pretty decent game plan to go and do it. We're having a lot of success here in the West End with our on-demand transit, for sure. I can tell you, like I teach at Niagara College, and the buses are very full that are coming into Niagara College. I've heard the same thing going on with Brock University. These are some pretty big revenue generators for NRT, working within our Niagara area. So, you know, it's a work in progress. You know, we've brought together 3 very disparate systems into play, and we're moving along. I have a lot of confidence in the commission, the part that Councillor Pachariva belongs to. So I'm certainly not going to be micromanaging that's going on with this thing. You guys are trying to make the best decisions on behalf of the entire region. That's why it was set up the way it was. So anyway, we shall see where this all lands.
Well, on the transit matter, councillors, I think that it could be that there are so many unusual circumstances around the current business plan that the amount required can't be approved because there's too many surprises. And therefore, next year will require a new business plan. And I think that's got to be the way forward. Councillor, I'll give you one more here.
Thanks, Your Worship. And just to Councillor Foster's point of, you know, where they said to cut service and raise rates, part of the whole concept with the triple majority was to hold the rates steady.
That's right.
And we're going to be looking at that increase next year, is that you're going to bring all of those services together, all right sizes, a number of collective bargaining agreements. So the plan's there, you know, so thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all done, Councillor?
I think I've done more than enough, so.
I don't think we could
It's,
tolerate much more sad news.
You know, though, it was funny with the Lancaster going over on Saturday morning, and it was going over right when I was going to put the wreath up for Niagara Region, and I just stood there and watched that thing go over, and it was like, it gave me tingles, and you know, it certainly has shown, I think, to all of us, like we can be very thankful for what you know, people in the past have done for us to make sure, and we can have discussions like this. Councillor Mikula can get mad at me because we're not doing violent. Well, we got the freedom to do that. Councillor Pachariva can get upset about NRT, but that's the thing. This gives us the opportunity to have these things. We can talk about them, and gosh, I've always liked doing it with this council, and back to the battle at the region. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. Lots of good questions. Item number 11, no, we better do the motion first. I have a motion moved by Councillor Njima, seconded by Councillor Reimer, that council receive and file for information the following delegation, Regional Councillor Foster. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thank you, Mayor. And the vote is now open. And Councillor Brunet, I'll need your vote verbally, please.
Support.
Thank you. And I'll close that vote. And that carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. That vote is carried. We move on to item 11, items for consideration, and we have no items for consideration this evening. Item 12 is the previous council minutes. Item 12.1 is the council minutes of October 23rd, 2023, and the special council minutes of November the 8th, 2023. Do members of council have any questions? I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Miklick, that council approve the minutes of the following meetings of council minutes of October 23rd, 2023, special council minutes of November the 8th, 2023. Madam Clerk, would you please call out the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. The vote is open. Councillor Brunet?
Support.
Thank you. Councillor Rajima?
Apologies, I thought I hit submit. There we go.
Thank you. And I'll close that vote. And that carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. That motion is carried, and we move on now to the Committee of the Whole, item number 13, Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of October 28th, 2023, which includes the Committee of the Whole minutes of November the 6th, 2023, and the Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of November the 8th, 2023. Do members of council have any questions? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Timmer, seconded by Councillor Brunet. The council approved the following recommendations from Standing Committee. Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of October 28th, 2023. Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of November 6th, 2023. Committee of the Whole workshop minutes of November the 8th, 2023. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you, and the vote is now open. And I will close that vote. And that carries, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. We move on now to item number 14. And item 14.1 is a notice of motion which is being brought forward by Councillor Reimer. This is an introductory notice of motion regarding the provincial commitment to make municipalities whole due to Bill 23 and will be considered at the next scheduled council meeting. Councillor Reimer, would you like to provide some introductory remarks regarding this item?
Thank you, Mary Easton. Just quickly, we know that Ontario is facing a housing crisis like never before, and we've heard from the provincial government they want to work with partners at every level of government, including municipalities like our own, to get shovels in the ground to build more housing. I believe Lincoln is doing its piece. As a municipality, we are being responsible. We have taken a targeted approach, several steps this past year to get more critical infrastructure built while still laying a strong fiscal foundation for generations to come. And we've also said time and time again, council and staff, our CAO especially, have said time and time again, the municipalities need more options for funding to meet the growing demand for infrastructure in their communities, and Lincoln is no different. Mayor Easton, we know that to build homes faster, municipalities need to service these homes, and so the promise about making us whole is something I've been working on with staff, and you will see the motion come forward at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And for the rest of council, the consideration on this motion will be given at the December 13th council meeting. We're now considering item 15.1, which is the mayor's report. And in this report, I provide to the public some detail about meetings that I have attended. Many of those have also been attended by members of council. And we work from the last council meeting, so on October the 25th, a number of us attended the Niagara Climate Change Summit. This was actually quite an exciting meeting because of the presentations that were done, one by York Region on Transit, which was extremely informed because of the amount of time that they've actually been involved in a more progressive agenda. And they are certainly trying electronic buses. The electronic vehicles are getting much more distance than in the past, and it was it was very interesting to see an actual operation unfold that has these new initiatives as part of their agenda. On October 27th, I met with MPP Sam Oosterhoff along with Councillor Mikulik and Councillor Reimer on mostly on the matter of Bill 23 and the impact that it was having on our situation and our ability to remain whole with those changes in policy. On October 28th, the quorum of council attended the Firefighter for a Day, which was held in Grimsby at the training center. I was really quite amazed at the number of changes that have taken place since pre-COVID, which would have been the last time, including the fact that most of us can't get into the gear within 90 seconds anymore, which is pretty painful. On November 1st, we attended the Niagara Economic Summit, and I was very pleased to hear that the circumstances, the economic forecast for Niagara is very, very positive, and that we are in much better shape and predicted to remain in better shape than most of the province. So those numbers are available. The content has been well publicized and certainly worth reading. On November the 3rd, we attended the Hope Gala, which is an initiative, I believe it's done every other year by the Pathstone Foundation. It's a fundraiser for children's mental health, and I believe that they raised over $500,000 that night. Their goal was, I think, in the mid-200s, so it was really quite a lot of energy in the room and obviously a very talented auctioneer. On November 4th, I attended the 9th edition of a painting competition, an awards ceremony. It was held at Alvento Winery, which is on 2nd Avenue in Lincoln. There's coast-to-coast participation in original art. The net proceeds support art programs for those that are living with Alzheimer's, including art tools, paints and paintbrushes, and the boarding that painting that you require for painting. It was really quite a talented group, and there's a filmed event for a mini documentary with PBS that's going to be coming up in the future. But it was it was really great to see so many people from coast to coast in Canada in particular there and enjoying what we have to offer here in Lincoln. They were quite surprised. On November the 6th, I attended an update on the truck bypass camera monitoring and the pilot project update, which was eventually presented to council. On November 7th was the committee week at the region, and there was no public works meeting, but I did attend the public health and social services meeting. On November 7th and 9th, the firefighter appreciation for Lincoln firefighters were held at in Jordan at the Station 3, and I attended that with Councillors Reimer and Mikulik, who also are members, Lincoln representatives on the pilot committee for Lincoln and Grimsby. The number of years of service were quite remarkable, the highest being 30 years, and the majority being 20 years. On Friday, November 10th, I attended a Great Lakes meeting, which was a debrief from a previous meeting that was held with ministers on Parliament Hill. I didn't attend that meeting, but I was provided the Climate Adaptation Summit, and it is in the hands of staff and is available for future work of our climate change coordinator when that person is hired. A number of us attended on November the 11th at the Cenotaph in Beamsville. Today, I participated in an interview with Walter Sendzik on his road show, and we were talking about budget in general, and not unlike the conversation that Regional Councillor Foster had tonight, there is a major disconnect between serious work that needs to be done, much of which is in the ground and can't be seen. And this needs to be corrected because the implications, direct and indirect implications to people's private property and their own personal, the stability of their own incomes is at stake when you have the number of interventions that we have had and continue to have that aren't being addressed at all. I want to speak about the Tri-Council meeting that was held on August the 9th, 2023. Many members of the public may have read about this in the newspaper. However, I think it's worth reviewing some of the important points that were discussed at our special council meeting last Wednesday. The purpose of the meeting was regarding the potential future governance structure in West Niagara region. It was a collaborative and proactive discussion, and no decisions were made at that meeting. The Tri-Council meeting took place as a closed session as it exclusively focused on municipal council discussions of governance matters in the region. It was viewed as a training for council, an item that is allowable under the Municipal Act. The driving force behind this gathering derives from the ongoing governance structure review that's been initiated by the province of Ontario. I think a fair estimation would be around operating for months now in a state of not knowing what was coming next, when the next shoe would drop. And so when you're in that situation, you really do need to consider whether you're going to look at your own destiny. And the main purpose of the meeting was to explore opportunities to collaborate on potential solutions that would best serve the interests of each respective community should changes to the current governance structure of Niagara region be required at a future date. This was the first time that three councils of the Township of West Lincoln, Town of Lincoln, Town of Grimsby have joined forces in a meeting of this nature. This unified approach, ladies and gentlemen, emphasizes the dedication of the three municipalities to work together towards a common goal. And the three municipalities came together in the spirit of collaboration and shared purpose. Our aim is to pool our resources and knowledge. I think you've heard this many times referred to under the heading of shared services, to see if there was an alignment of visions and drive positive change for our community members. We see this as a unique path to shape our collective destinies in the Niagara region rather than having our future being dictated to us. The Ontario Ombudsman's Office has notified us that they are reviewing the decision to host the meeting as a closed session. We are fully committed to working, and have been, with the Ombudsman's Office, and we're confident that if any learning opportunities come to light, we will fully comply with these. So that is my way of assisting any members of the public who are watching or who will watch in the future with the circumstances as they have been reported. We do not know when the Ombudsman's Office report will be issued, and we also are not advised to lodge the complaint. I think any comments on this are purely speculative and should be avoided. And we should be, I believe, satisfied that the review system within our province that allows many things to get a second look should be welcomed, and that's the process that we're going through at the present time. I would also like to remind members of the public that decisions of council, once they are made, are how we move forward. That provides a direction to staff for how we move forward. How we have voted individually does not prevail following that vote when it is taken. And to ensure that information on this particular matter is accurate and complete and unbiased, I have requested staff to add a page to the Speak Up Lincoln platform, which is an open and safe platform that's been approved by council. Staff maintain the quality of the information and are accountable to their responses to the residents. So we may have to wait until the report comes from the Ombudsman. I'll leave that to our CAO and clerk to advise us in the future if that's necessary. However, that is my update on that matter, and I certainly encourage everyone to use Speak Up Lincoln when the time comes. There will be a posting put out for your purposes. I want to remind everyone in these times when there is so much coming at us that we do live in a very good community. A community of encouragement, where every citizen strives to be a good neighbor, where children and youth are encouraged to achieve their very best, where business contributes to the growth and the sustainability of our community's vision as a place to grow, a place to prosper, a place to belong. I want to thank you all for allowing me to share this message with you and for welcoming us into your homes. Thank you. And I have Councillor Mikulik. Please go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I was going to bring this up under other business following the regular agenda. But I'll bring it up now since you brought it up in your mayor's report with regards to the media. And I think it's important for us to have a good working relationship with the media. I think it's very important. I read the paper same way like everybody else, not just for the flyers or find out where the best deal on cheese is, but like in this case, a lot of times with these newspaper articles, you might only get to read the headline because you have to pay for a subscription or for whatever reason. So you only get to read the headline, and I consider headlines to be extremely important because you may not get the context of the whole story based on the headline. And in a recent publication, there was a headline called Tri-Town Meeting Attendees Supported Amalgamation of West Lincoln. And I'm just curious if the town or the CAO or yourself has a comment to that headline and what our thoughts on it. Because in my mind, if I'm not able to read the rest of that article, it appears as though a decision was made or a level of support was made, which from what I'm gathering, it was an educational, it was just to to explain possibilities, to talk about things, to throw spaghetti at the wall at possible things that could happen. And I feel that this is a pretty strong headline that might not be 100% accurate, though I was not actually at that meeting. So if possible, could we hear a comment from our town CAO or yourself on that headline and your thoughts?
Well, I can tell you that I didn't see any spaghetti, but I certainly think that figuratively speaking, that there was a lot of ideas that were being thrown around. So we have experience, and I turn to the CAO now, because we've certainly had reports in the past that haven't been completely accurate, and we do have a mechanism for dealing with that. So I'll turn to the CAO to speak to that issue.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to members of council. I think as we all know, this weekend probably, this article did cause a little bit of a social media furor. I did speak with Abigail Green, who actually wrote the article earlier today. I think just sharing with her a little bit of that, a little bit of the concern, or a little bit of kind of that fear. She's very active on social media, was aware of the comments being made and attributed to her. She then shared her concerns with her editors. They've decided to leave the headline as it is. I rarely reach out to media and don't make it something I often do and haven't done in many, many years. But I did reach out. They've decided to leave it as is. I think oftentimes when we report back on things like this, it's often difficult to express in a few minutes when you're up at the podium the complexities of a 3 or 4 hour conversation. And so I think Mr. Dobby provided some comments that probably didn't have the prefacing or contextual pieces around it that specifically spoke to, should we be directed to look at amalgamation? Should the province direct this? Then what would we like to do? Which was really the context for some of this. And so I think the headlines caused some concern. I think it's been clarified. I followed the social media chatter over the weekend as well, like everyone else did. And I think to the mayor's point about trying through our own tools and our own mediums to clarify this, we will be doing that so that all residents understand what we're talking about. Because I saw everything from finally comments that we're having these conversations to anger to a whole bunch of stuff in between, which I never think is ideal. So I think our conversation last week as the third municipality to go forward was a positive conversation. But I think when some of the questions potentially led us down this path of having maybe more of a conversation on amalgamation than was required. So I think anytime you talk about governance or you talk about the loss of one's identity or a community identity, people get nervous and apprehensive, and I think we saw that play out. But to Councillor Mikulic's question, him and I chatted about this earlier. I did reach out to the reporter, and the headline is staying. But I think as we move forward, we're going to try to have these discussions far more out of in-camera than in-camera. And so I think that should give people a level of confidence about what we're discussing.
Thank you. I do respect the media. I do respect this reporter. I respect we all have a job to do. I just want to ensure that, when that people hear or know the whole story behind a headline. And that's why I'm bringing this up. And social media, it definitely wakes people up. It's a different way of, waking people up. And I think it's important that people voice their concerns in however way they choose to. I prefer a more structured way, by email or by, proper correspondence. Social media can get out of hand, in my opinion, at times. So, and can be quite time consuming for a member of council. So I just want to make sure that, there's some clarity with comments or opinions that are made. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Thanks, Mr. CAO. All right, I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva, seconded by Councillor Manjima, that council receive and file as information the following mayor's report. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and the vote is now open. And I will go ahead and close that vote, and that carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That vote is carried, and we move on to item number 16, which is a motion to consider confidential matters. We have no confidential matters this evening. Item 17 is a motion to approve bylaws. We have one bylaw for consideration today. Do members have any questions to the bylaw? I see none. I have a motion moved by Councillor Mikulik and seconded by Councillor Russell, that leave be given to approve the following bylaw, 2023-65, bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-04, being a bylaw to provide for the rules of order of council and its committees, referred to as the procedural bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and that vote is open. And I will go ahead and close that vote, and that carries. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is carried. I move on to number 18. Item 18, a motion to confirm the proceedings of council meeting. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Timmers, that leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2023-66, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Monday, November the 13th, 2023, being read a first, second, and third time. That bylaw number 2023-66 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and that vote is open. And I will go ahead and close that vote, and that carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The motion carries. And before we adjourn the meeting, do members have any further comments? I see none. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer and seconded by Councillor Pachariva, that the council meeting on November 13th, 2023 be adjourned at 19:29 hours. I will now ask the clerk to open the vote.
And the vote is open, and that carries. And I will go ahead and close that vote.
Thank you very much, everyone. This concludes our council meeting for this evening. Thank you, staff, for your support. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us.